Ozark-St National Forest. More than 1.2 million acres that hop and skip across the natural state like the patchwork of a homemade Ozark Mountains quilt. The Ozark Mountains of Arkansas are a physical place, a geological formation, and a cultural landscape where new memories are made and the traces of history can be found underfoot. Here are the stories of people who shaped this landscape in the past and who are managing it for the future. Stories of memoryscape and landscape along the Mulberry River.
Like a treasure hunt, because from each cemetery you go to, you'll find some little part of the puzzle. I don't think you find these same things in other parts of the country. I have been obsessed with cemeteries from the time I was a child, and my grandfather was a cemetery sexton in southern Illinois. I would say that was the beginning of this lifelong passion.
I became interested in cemeteries because of my genealogical work. You can't research family history unless you get into the cemetery aspect of it.
It's not just the tombstones. There's the symbolism on the stones, there's the plants, the things people planted in graveyards, the burial customs themselves, the evidence of hymns, the poetry on the tombstones, even the men and one woman who carved the tombstones and signed their names. So there's this richness of information, material, that's right out there in plain sight.
Cemeteries come alive when people start to show interest in the stories under the tombstones. They reveal our past so we can understand our present.
When Denny was killed, I believe because her father didn't get justice for her, because the men who supposedly did it were shot trying to escape and buried in unmarked graves, that he wanted the world to know who did this to his daughter. So he puts their names on Bill Chenoweth, which would be, I think Chenoweth would be like the more modern spelling, and Joe Forbush, B-U-S-H, which would probably be Faubus, same as Governor Faubus. That would be the more modern spelling. But he puts their names on and their motive. They murdered this lovely child to get the family out to look so they might rob and steal. It was to create diversion to rob the house, which they didn't do. But because he didn't get justice, I think he puts her names on. And in every case that I know of where a murderer's name is on a stone, it doesn't just say John Smith was murdered, but John Smith was murdered by, it's because the murderer got away scot-free.
Down the road, just a couple of miles away, we can learn more about the Hill family past at Yale Cemetery.
This is a stone of Obed Hill, also the Hill family. And Obed was from this area. He was a single man who was the support of his parents. He had brothers and sisters, and he went off to Camp Funston, Kansas to work in the bank. Captain Whistler, came into the bank, tied up the employees, and hacked them to death with a hatchet, including the bank president, who managed to crawl away, escape, and was not killed. But 4 of the employees were killed. And Captain Whistler also robbed the bank, went back to his barracks, wrote a suicide note that said, "I have been thinking of committing suicide for a long time, but I never had a good reason. Yesterday I went out and made myself a reason." And then he fired a service revolver into his head, 2 shots. The second one killed him. They found the money under his bed, they found the gun, they found the hatchet. So that was the end of the story. A stone of this size and with all this writing on it, my guess is that his life insurance went to buy his tombstone, unless the family was very wealthy. But as I said, he was supporting his parents. The bottom of the stone has a long poem on it that's signed Obed, which it basically says, if you have someone that you love, tell them while they're alive, don't wait till they're dead. So there's this sort of extra irony that their son is killed in a horrible robbery, and then they put this poem that says, let the living know that you love them while they're still alive, on his stone.
My favorite part of a cemetery like this is just the fact that these were actual people who lived here, people who had homes here and made this part of Arkansas what it is. It's important for families to know where their ancestors are buried and where they ended up. A lot of people think it's a little bit of a weird connection, but those are their ancestors, and people go out and find the tombstone of their ancestors and they make a real connection. It's like it satisfies them in an aspect of their family history where their people ended up and to see where they lived and where they were buried.